Hope that things are working. Possibly translators just need to unmute, and you can confirm in the chat if you like, and also share where you're connecting from, because it brings a sense of being connected. And also, if you're happy to come into camera, it would be a lovely way of also feeling connected together. I want to just share something by means of warming up on the subject. And this quote by Thomas Hardy describes in a simple way our consciousness. He said, "Time changes everything, except something within us, which is always surprised by change." Somehow that seems to be one consistent thing. And also, T.S. Eliot has some beautiful writings on time, some of them quite complicated, but this is a simpler one, where what we call the beginning is often the end. And to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. I like his quotes often because it is this cyclical time which comes through often in poetry. And also, I think in our own personal journey, I think that aspect that we discover the place for the first time after going on a long journey, we discover where we started on different levels. So welcome to Isle of Man and Italy, and joined by, I think, in Haiti and France and many other places. So at this point, I'm going to welcome Prashant to come into sound. Looking forward to this comprehension of this subject in greater depth.
Thank you, and hello, and good evening. Very nice to connect again. And we'll create opportunity today just to get revision of some basic of our practices, and most fascinating subject of time and the cycle and all the questions that come with this subject. And it is an opportunity for us to address these different questions. But let us start with a few moments of attention. And during these moments, we are reminding that right now here is the invisible player. Invisible player is the invisible soul. Invisible player, if he is conscious, it is just like coming out of a dream or coming out of a nightmare. His reality is completely different to the world of the dream. He sees himself in that region of light, the region beyond. Aware that this world is timeless, but this is his world. For the invisible player, this is not a meditation. He belongs to this world. It's a world of eternal security. The invisible player is very relaxed in this expanse, in this world of light. He has got nothing to worry about, nothing to think about. We experiment with this, the invisible player in this world, in this expanse. Invisible player is like the invisible presence. Very relaxed in this expanse of light. This is not a meditation for him. This is his world. This is the reality. He's also aware that this is the home of his family. True family is here. This is the world of the true father, true family, true treasures, true self. That's why this one step of waking up, he discovers the true dimension, the waking reality. It also means until then he was in something that is false notion of the self. He was in the story, and he was in the dream, but also with the false notion. Which is such a waste of time, waste of life. The invisible player is very much aware of the physical reality, but he knows it as a story. It has not become his world. So right now, here is the story, the extraordinary performance. The invisible player is not part of the story. As we continue on our journey, we have the option to remain conscious to this beautiful truth. Thank you. Just a little reset, helping us to come back to our starting position. I'll be using the board, and let us see if you can see the whiteboard. And as we often remind ourselves each time we got our world, and all along we are emphasizing this is not a meditation image, this is the home, and this is the true self. The reason we show this big and show the story world small, just to emphasize that the story world is small in significance. And that is represented by this image. And in this story world, lots and lots of things going on here. There is a performance, there is a drama, there are episodes, they begin, they end. And the invisible player is the invisible traveler. He passes through this. There is the family, and this is the home of the father. This dimension is eternal. For the one who is conscious, this entire physical world is an extra experience. We said this physical world, it is a story. It is also theater, it is a drama. We see it also as a play. It's a grand PlayStation for the invisible player. That's why we use the word player. He is the invisible actor in the drama. He is the invisible player. That is also the physical world is like a grand circus, a roller coaster for this invisible player. It is also a holiday. The invisible player comes in this, it's a whole thing. What happens on a holiday? You go to the different experiences, you come back. Your home is still safe. Your world is still intact. So also here, it is a grand holiday with a safe return. That is an absolute guarantee. You return back home. It is also a dream. Most of the time, it is a sweet dream. It may turn into a nightmare at some point, but it is a dream reality. Who is the dreamer? The invisible player is the invisible dreamer. Soul is the dreamer. And he has his waking world, waking reality, complete. Just like anyone wakes up from the dream, he has his complete world. And he doesn't need, he is not relying upon the dream for his life. Dream is extra. If dream is not there, he got his world complete. So also here, he has his world, and this is his dream story, and an extra experience. This entire physical world is also a gift. And what we are going to see today, it is also a film. We hear this in the Murlis. Baba says, Baba likes this image of the film and cinema that helps Baba explain knowledge better. Anything else? So if you are buying some gadget, and one gadget can do 4 or 5 things, it is a good gadget. You will think this is a good product. Here also is something like this. This physical world is given to us for these invisible players. Invisible players, they are invisible princes. They belong to the King of Kings. So they are given this extraordinary gift. And this gift is not just one thing. It is not just one play, but it has got so many functions. Within that is a story, and it is then such an amazing performance, drama on a grand scale. And it has got also circus within it and a roller coaster experience. People pay money to go to some roller coaster. There is inbuilt within this is a roller coaster. And if you live in London, like there is some London dungeon. Here it is a ongoing dungeon experience also here. And it is a holiday and it is a dream. So lots within it. All of these things are extraordinary if the invisible player is conscious. All of this applies if he's conscious. If the player is not conscious, then everything gets spoiled. Just like if you give some nice gift to someone, but if his intellect is distorted, is confused, then he can't use that gift. It is a great gift, but he says, why are you giving this to me? But it may even disturb him more. There is a roller coaster, but you take some person who doesn't know what roller coaster is, some old man, it will disturb him even more. Someone else would pay money to go on the roller coaster, but another person might be disturbed. Same here. This is an extraordinary gift. If you are in that right space, when we are not in that conscious space, then the game changes. Everything is a confusion. He doesn't realize it's a story. He doesn't realize it's a holiday. He's busy complaining. So that is what has happened, and that is what we describe by this image, crossing the dotted line. You cross this dotted line, and then ego takes over. Ego is the king. It becomes Ravan's perspective. Ravan is absolutely, embodiment of ignorance. We can't see it for what it is. This roller coaster, he wants to make it into his home, and he's complaining why it is not stable, why it is unpredictable. He's busy complaining. Such is the present state. All 8 billion of us are in that state. And what the spiritual knowledge says, point is not to make this roller coaster into a nice home. That is not a point. Point is we come out of this madness and see this world for what it is. The invisible player wakes up. That's why when we use the word soul consciousness, how often do we hear this word? Baba is not telling how to solve some problems, political problems, or some new kinds of vaccine. Baba is not talking about that. Get the soul consciousness right. Get the yoga right. Detach from these old Ravan's attachments. Come out of this vices and attachments. Because once you come to this higher perspective, everything is in place. You understand now what this is all about, but also you win the sky. It is nicely described in spiritual writings. You win the sky, but you also win the earth. You win both worlds. In the lower consciousness, in the Ravan consciousness, you lose both worlds. He's collecting some crumbs, but he has lost the world. He doesn't see the play as a play. He doesn't see the theater as a theater. And then he's running around to collect some broken wickets or broken pieces of some ball. Excellent. You would like to say anything, add anything? Quick reset. And then we'll go to the subject of today.
So there are no questions right now, although they may be coming, but I appreciated this reorientation reminder. Recently, a friend was sharing, she's putting her skills to use to help the refugees, which is admirable for sure, but also making herself a little unwell because of pushing in this these different roles and demands. And this sometimes appears abstract how to even communicate it, but seeing this, we need to first understand the fictional nature, and it was easier to see, in a sense, how this may be communicated at some level, but certainly for the self.
Yeah, excellent.
One quick question: does the invisible player run without playing? I'm not sure.
Does he go without playing? Of course, when he's on the playground, he has option to have the attitude of the play, and he's a player. But as was said, he can be confused. He's still on the pitch, but he can spend his time complaining why the bowler is sending ball to me and why this person is not letting me, collect the balls. So he can be confused and do something else. But, and this is what is happening at present. But if he's conscious, he finds this is an extraordinary game and a PlayStation that is offered to him. The point is not to collect the broken pieces of the wickets and broken bats. That is not a point. The ball comes to you, you pass the ball to someone else. It is not to collect, catch the ball and claim the ball. That is not the idea of the game. But in the lower consciousness, that is what happens. And we change it into a war. Yeah, excellent. Now let us come to our subject of today. And time and the cyclical nature of time. And we've all heard the ideas, we know it, and but a quick reminder of the way we are seeing this creation. In science, in philosophy, and in religions, there is this big riddle, and they are trying to answer this in different ways. And this is a riddle about creation, if we call it in a poetic way. In other words, question is, where does this physical world, why is it is there, how it came, where it started, so about this world that we are here. And science is trying to answer it, different religions try to answer it, philosophers try to answer it. So lots going on. Bottom line, if you ask them, are you sure what they are claiming? Bottom line from each institution is, we don't know. So that is like a positioning of everyone. Nice theories, but bottom line is, we don't know. And some in universities, some colleges, some countries might be promoting one approach more. Like in some countries, science model is promoted, but some other place, something else is promoted, very just with as much enthusiasm. So that is the way we are in this world. And we are at present seeing this whole subject of creation in a new model. See it as a model, and then we have option to compare, contrast with other possible explanations. This model, has one benefit. We are able to see it from a bigger map. We understand the reality of the souls, the invisible players, and invisible family of souls, and they got a home. So it brings new aspect to solving this riddle. So what is this model? This model says we all exist as souls in our home. This is the eternal reality. And this aspect, this angle is completely missed in science. Science, the invisible player, and that aspect is completely, it doesn't even exist. And they are in that story world and analyzing things at that level. Just want to add to this, at this point, in the science world, there are people like, I'm just mentioning some names. One name here is Julian Barber. He is a cosmologist and based in Oxford. And his book is called The End of Time. And one aspect he is emphasizing during his writings in this book, that based upon the present, we cannot know the past. The whole thinking is based on quantum physics, and that is lots of equations. Book is full like that. Not an easy reading for a layman. But the message is, based upon the present, we cannot know the past. So if he is told, he says this in the book, I can see the fossils, I can see the stones, I can see the bones, and I can see the records and all these amazing things. And all of them are in the present. I know that this bone in the museum, it exists now, and some fossils, it exists now. This is what I can say as a scientist. Because it is here now, if you are saying that it existed a year ago, leave aside a million years ago, it existed last year. He says, has anyone experienced it last year? That bone, who saw it last year? Then we can proceed further. If it was not seen, by anyone, we cannot make the statement that because it is here today, it was there in some form even last year. We can't make. That's why the book itself is called End of Time. So it is present exist. Based upon present, when you are trying to make some theories of the past, it's a projection based on the present, not necessarily the reality. That is, you lose science. It is not scientific to make that statement according in his model. So entire history, he according to him, has to be dismissed, can never be confirmed. All we can say is present, in his experience, in his discussion. One the professor of history in Cambridge, at one time, while talking to him, this was many years ago, I asked him, do you have a model of cyclical time? And he had some answer to that, but during that, he made a statement. New students, when they come to him, he asks them a question. Can we ever know history? And there are students, they have come here to study history, and they got, of course, they know the dates. They got some A grade in the earlier years. So they say, of course, we know the history. And he tells them, we can never know history. What they are going to learn over the next 2 years are theories for that explains history, theories and stories, but we can never know history. Now, this is who will say something like this? Those who know the subject well, they will say this, make these statements. Then these are people who write books, and these books are sold everywhere. So they know the subject, they have done research. But some media, makes a statement, and they have to convince people, and they tell, some bone is 18 million years ago, as if it is all confirmed and everything known. Now let us, so these are all different models of and different ideas. The reason I'm mentioning about Julian Barber, here is a person who knows everything what science has to say about Big Bang and this and black holes. He knows everything. And then he makes the statement, we can never know the past, and leave aside the Big Bang. We cannot tell even what happened. It is a futile exercise to project. We can project anything and make nice stories according to him. So far, so good. To add anything? So let us come to this. Sound is okay?
Yes, sound is good. Nothing to add at this stage.
Yeah, sure. So here we are seeing in this model, that all the souls, we are in our home, and we said this world is timeless, it is eternal. And from this home, we come in the physical world, and we go through this journey. And what is really happening here, this journey, we are watching a film. The souls are in the physical world watching a long film. And there is a time we come, there is a time when we go back. Everyone goes back. And there are different episodes within the film. Just like you are watching some James Bond film, that it starts in a certain way, and there are different things. Who are the observers of this film? These invisible players are the invisible observers. So right now here, Prashant is talking about these things. Prashant is talking about becoming soul conscious, and these ideas are spoken. But this is happening in the film. Prashant is part of this film here. That is where the words are spoken, and Prashant exists, all of it. All of Prashant is part of the film. And whilst that film is going on, the invisible player is watching this film. He's watching Prashant talking. So understand this, that subtle separation, that invisible player is completely separate to the role and everything. So we are watching this film as we go along, and And there are different plots. There are golden age plots, and then there are silver age plots, and then copper age and iron age. We know the details. And then there comes time, we call go back. We also know in this model that population at a physical level is small to start with. So at this beginning, maybe less than 1 million. Less than 1 million to begin with when the film starts. And one kind of, we call them golden age plots. That is what is going on. World of Krishna and Narayan and the gopis that is happening in this part. That is the beginning. Towards the end of the film, when we reach this part of the film, the population of the observers reaches billions, which means more and more actors from the home, these invisible players, they are coming into the theater and they are joining this. So this happens all along. And when they are joining this, they are watching this theater and they are watching the film. We also saw that if it was just watching the film and going back, then there is no problem. It is a great film, and thank you very much. Just like someone goes to the theater, watches a film for 1 hour, and comes home, it is great. The film was a gift, a nice experience. I go home. But if during that hour, if he was to cross the line into confusion, he's watching the film, and if he was to believe that he is James Bond there on the screen, that is him, and completely forget about his own existence, then that is not just a nice gift anymore. Now there is another situation to address. Something has gone wrong. And he doesn't want to go home when the film finishes or about to finish. He doesn't want to go home because he's totally lost in the screen. And in a true sense, serious confusion. It happens sometimes, there is one place, some children come with the parents and they are spending some time there. And when it is time to go home, children don't want to go home. They cry. It disturbs them in a big way. They are not just trying to become difficult, but it really feel disturbed, the idea of going home. It is something similar, this childishness comes in. Crossing the line is that childishness. If the film that is made, we said 5 minutes or 1 hour, you are watching a film, it is no problem. You are nice, thank you, and I go home. But if the film that is made is a really sophisticated, 3-dimensional film, and within that there is so much going on, and someone singing a song, and you are getting involved in it. Lots of it is directed towards you, and someone is loving you. It can seduce you. Something of that kind can draw you into the theater, and our discrimination can be lost. Bottom line is power, how much power you have. Not to be deceived. If we approach even 1 hour long film, if we are approaching it with stone intellect, it can draw us in. That's why some people start crying and start laughing, because they are already, drawn into the film to some level. But if the film was really sophisticated and it is not just 1 hour, much longer, there is a possibility it will draw a lot more people in it. They will be deceived and to some attachment they will start to create. Here, the film is going on and on for a long, long time, not just, hours, it is years and centuries. And these invisible players, they do pretty well to manage half the time when you are not deceived in it. It is pretty good performance. But then comes a time they cannot handle this sophistication of this film and such convincing nature of this film. And so they cross the line. That is what we call this moment, the end of the Silver Age and the beginning of the Copper Age. And then, they are happy, but they are happy in a funny kind of way. They are happy because it is a sweet dream. If it is a nightmare, they are disturbed, this kind of thing. They are happy as long as Cinderella and Prince is there. If the ugly sister comes, they are unhappy. So it is a happiness and sorrow which is childish. But ignorance has come in, Ravan has come in. They have lost their sense of the bigger map. It is not Paris anymore. Film continues, but they get, once you have lost the clarity, you are drawn more and more and more. And so when we reach this Iron Age, the inner state is heavily body conscious. All these hates of Ravan and attachments and vices, they are all breeding in this ignorance. They don't know what is right and wrong. Idea, all this, whatever that gives them happiness, they jump in it. And there is no power to stop or discrimination to understand what is right and wrong. Until the confluence age, where Baba has to come in the dream. You might have noticed sometimes some percentage of dreams are prophetic dreams, as if someone comes in the dream and tells you some things. And it was not just a random sub images, but there was something happening. There was a message. So it is known, certain percentage of dreams, something like 10% of the dreams, they are prophetic dreams. There is something more than just a random dream. As if someone can reach you, there can be angelic intervention through the dreams. Something similar happens here. God, Supreme Soul, He wants to reach these souls, but He can meet these souls only in the dream, because they are totally in the dream. They are not conscious. Beyond the dream, they are not even conscious. So He has to come in the dream. I'm using this image of the dream in this. It is nice to understand this. So also here, the Supreme Soul comes in the film. But His aim is not just add to the dream. His aim is to reach you, to tell you that there is a reality beyond the dream. And you have to come out of this dream. As if He placed a part in that dream world to awaken you. So the knowledge and all that comes, like even as was said earlier, Here we are talking about knowledge. Here we are talking about waking up. Prashant is talking, but Prashant is part of the film. And the whole message, the soul, the invisible soul, is observing this film. He's also learning, even as Prashant is talking. The soul here is trying to make sense of this and trying to stay awake. And so also us here. We are all hearing this discussion. It is happening in the film. But one who is making sense of it in each one of you is the invisible player. He's trying to make sense. He's trying to wake up. If we do not wake up with the signal that is coming this way, we said there's a prophetic intervention, happening in the dream, telling us it is time to come out. This is a dream. This is a film. There is a reality beyond your soul. You are not part of this film. So there is a message that comes in the film. If we do not wake up with that, what happens next? Well, if someone is not waking up with the signal, what will happen? If he's dreaming and signal of knowledge comes, signal from prophet comes, God comes, he's not waking up. Angel comes. What happens next?
Would you like to share in the chat?
What will help him awaken? Because it is time to awaken.
So drama or the dream might cause him to wake up. He has to be given a shock. Maybe the dream turns into a nightmare.
Yes, very good. All answers are right. The dream changes into a nightmare. It might be the experience of many people that sweet dream, they don't want to wake up. They want to stay in the sweet dream, and they won't be unhappy if someone wakes them up. They might feel that is a bit not very, very friendly. But nightmare, more chances of the person waking up from a nightmare. And something similar happens in this dream also. If we do not wake up with the angelic signal, then there will be nightmare. So the drama takes the form of a nightmare. It is not a nightmare of the other dream, but this word takes the form of a nightmare. So that is what we mean destruction. Destruction is like a nightmare. For the soul, it is like nightmare experience. And it forces him to drop any ideas, any expectations, any of that Ravan's madness. When we are seeing this, if a James Bond film, someone goes on creating attachments on the things of the screen, you will call it madness. So same here. It is not just attachment to think. You want to create expectation or preference. All these small things. I prefer this. I don't like this. All these are like the childishness, and essentially bondages. And we are expected to remain 100% free from this. So, and the attitude, nothing matters on the screen. That is separate. Your world is not affected by what is happening on the screen. One who is fully conscious, he knows that his world is 100% beyond harm. Nothing can harm him, even the slightest. This story is harmless, 100% harmless. And so he's not, saying why it happened, who did it. No, it was a joke. What is happening on the screen is a joke. And he remains in that silent contentment, silent peace. He stays in the truth. That is what is expected of us. And the signal is coming to tell us, come in that space now. It is why there is no compulsion to stay in the Ravan's madness for another, to come out of it gradually. There is no need. Let us plan to come out of this madness and come into the wisdom of God. So that is the option we have. Any thoughts, any comments where you would like to share? Any thoughts?
Question from just a little earlier. Why is it that there are less observers, meaning souls, in the Golden Age, and in the Iron Age there are billions of observers, souls?
Why there are less actors, less, as was said before, to stay in a film which is so convincing, so sophisticated, extraordinary success, so loving and so beautiful and golden, and not lose your clarity, not be defeated by this. You need power. And very few have that level of power not to be defeated by that film, such a film. Just like if you show some children some film like this, and some might, if you show them, so they are affected. The different children may be at different level. The adult may not be. So something here, we souls have different level of power, and they can't handle the success with that grace and with the detachment. And so there are deeper reasons. And so someone with that spiritual power, and that power is tested at the confluence age. At the present time, let us see how free you are from this. It is not even golden age here. Here it is iron age. Let us see how detached you become. We all have received a signal to be detached and remain soul conscious. And we got our home, we got God, we got our world of bliss and peace. Let us see how much we can stay in that experience and not be drawn into this drama for any reason. That shows me how much power I have accumulated. So at the confluence age, someone becomes very powerful in this way, at that level. He is the one who will come earlier. Someone has accumulated less power because he can't handle golden age and silver age. Only those who can handle it, they can come there. Someone who can't handle it, they have to leave. This law applies even in the present time. Like, for example, the country might give you a position, maybe position of a royal status or position in the government. And there is a position. And in that position, many things come, some praise and position and possession, many things come. You may have some option, to be corrupt also. And there is temptation. If someone can't handle that temptation, then country might take him out of that position. The whole country gave the position to him of a political leader or a royal family, But if he can't handle the temptation, they will say, you can't be the leader anymore. We are seeing this in the Iron Age. The standards are like this. So same happens in this larger scheme of things. You are tested how much you have power to handle the Ravan's baits. The baits are coming, and can you be beyond it and stay in your honor? So all this examination happens at a confluence age, and then the number is set. So maybe very few get this score where they have the power to manage 2,500 years, half the cycle, half the time they can handle. As I said, that's pretty good. It's amazing to have that power for half the cycle of time, but few people. But then the second part starts, and number-wise, others join in.
So a follow-up question. So you're saying the souls who can't handle the golden age, they remain where? Well, we know
they stay in the soul world.
And so they come to the age they are able to handle. Is that how you would phrase it?
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of other questions. Shall I ask now?
Mm-hmm.
In this model, God only comes in the confluence of the iron and the golden ages. Does it mean we cannot really meditate with God in the copper age?
Not accurately. The knowledge is not complete. And yes, everyone is trying to have some kind of a search for God, but the very fact that there are so many ideas, even from the copper age, about God, which means they were not getting it.
I hope that helps. So another question. So although we cannot say who the director of the drama is, can we say that Baba or God is the director in a sense, because he does say that in the readings, but he's not the producer?
Sure. At the present time, at the confluence age, I like to see God as the director for me. I accept, and we have the option to accept God as the director because he gives directions and he tells how to do and what not to do, the details of this, and I have the option to accept this. If we do not see God as the director for me, each one of us, if we do not see it that way, then the 10 heads of Ravan, they are very happy to give directions. And they become the directors. 10 heads of Ravan. In other words, ego gives the direction. And ego becomes the director for us. So both Ram is director, and Ravan also wants to be the director. In our choice, which director we follow.
That's interesting. There are many aspects to that question, because the idea in devotional scriptures is that God is the creator, yet the question is, well, how is there so much suffering? So you're saying that Ravan is also like a director, and that's what happens in Ravan's kingdom, that God is director of the first half of the cycle, and we create that by following his directions now. Is that right?
Yeah, very clear.
Question, why do we have this drama or film in the first place?
The other option is we stay home and there is no experience of any kind. That is other option. In theory, in fact, one philosopher makes argument. There may be some who just stay at home, who don't come here. And they don't ask the question, why is there the drama? They are just in the home, and but this knowledge doesn't say that there are some who just stay in the home. It is almost like non-existence. The seed that has never sprouted, does that seed exist as a seed? Maybe not. There's no difference between a seed and a stone then. So also here, there are, we exist in the home. We are the invisible players. We are souls, but we are invisible players. We are invisible actors. And so the players and the actors, they need a stage. They need a field to act. And it is nice. It is a nice gift. That we have no problem with this, gift of the film and the theater. If there is any, if we are questioning anything, it is this line. We don't want to cross this green line. That is only, we don't need to cross into ignorance. And this is the biggest thing that human race can achieve. In the spiritual model, this is what is emphasized. Come out of the ignorance. And you win the sky, you also win the earth. And then, then it is, you are not saying why there is a film. Film is also a nice gift also. But if there is a question, if this physical world, does it play any other role? This model says no other role. This physical world exists just as an extra gift. It is not leading to some higher evolution of some universe. No, it is cyclical. It stays like that. The perfection of the souls already exists. Souls in our eternal state don't need to evolve any further.
It's very meditative as well, waking up to perfection that exists. A quick follow-up question about the creator and producer. The question, so God definitely does not create the drama, is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. More accurately, if I describe it, if there is a carpenter doesn't create wood, but he creates the table. So he puts together, he brings, there's a table. So he is the creator of the table, but not the material. something similar here. There is this physical world, and we have created such a chaos there because of our confusion, childishness. We are we are ready to destroy this, dismantle this whole planet. This is the scale. Internal chaos and external chaos also. So if there is an incarnation of God, what can he do? What does he need to do? He can get his souls out of this Ravan's confusion, get them back to their highest soul conscious state, which means they are like God. He makes them see the world the way he sees. And then suddenly they realize, wow, everything is perfect, everyone is good. This is what experience of the invisible player is. One who is conscious, he realizes he is beyond harm. He doesn't need any of these desires and disappointments, and he's immortal. And everyone is same. They are immensely lovely and loving. And everyone is lucky. They need nothing. And this is a great gift, great story. It is not there to go and fight or to go there with some begging bowl. They need nothing from there. So this invisible player, all that has happened, God just shifted the consciousness of all the souls. And then what you get is the golden age. So we can say, we can attribute this golden age to God. It is a creation of God, golden age. But did he bring matter there? No. His intervention is just bringing about the shift of consciousness of human beings. And then cascade of other reactions happen, and it creates golden age.
Yeah, thank you. Shall I ask another question? Can the invisible player be the producer? Or maybe co-creator?
Co-creator, we can use that term. We all influence matter in our limited way. Every consciousness has influence on matter. And more we are ourselves into bondage, our influence will become less. More we are free, our influence is greater. But agreed, we are the co-creators with the Supreme Father.
There's a question which is asking, can there be destruction if the cycle repeats, if you like? So I guess it's a question around annihilation, perhaps. I'll read how it's written. So the world does come close to destruction in the Iron Age, but doesn't this happen every 5,000 years? So it doesn't come close to destruction. It does happen in the film, but then it comes back. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. What really happens here, in any film, every episode comes to an end. And if I have created attachments, people just suffer. During the Golden Age and Silver Age, episodes begin, episodes end. Lakshmi, Narayan, they have a death also, but no one suffers. People are born, people die, there's no suffering. Neither they suffer nor anyone else suffers. But in the copper age, iron age, when the attachments are happening, there this change and everything bothers them because they are completely dangling in the theater. And there comes a time, at the present time, this is where we are, last phase of the confluence age, the whole film comes to an end. And not only the different episodes, but this iron age means the last phase of the film comes to an end. And then everyone has to go back home. Everyone, all souls have to go back home. That is the home of the souls. So everyone have to return home. So at that point, if there are any, whatever remaining attachments, they all will have to be settled in a very short time. So there is definitely end of the film, whether you call it destruction and the scenes before, that is also going on. Broadly, we can call it destruction. Destruction does happen. But when you are seeing it from the model of the film, you understand these are painful sceneries, painful episodes, and there is definitely the end of the film also for all the souls. And then the beginning starts. We come back from the home again and the new beginning starts. So we don't say the physical world comes to an end. That doesn't. Theater is still there. Film is still there. But the one show is finished.
I wonder if this is a good time to take a pause and so just a comment, it's like virtual reality. Baba presses the restart button. It's a nice analogy. Reboot. If this is a good time to pause, what would be a good question for reflection in the rooms would you like to suggest?
What is the best way we can use this understanding of the film for our progress? Mm-hmm. Or how does this help us in our spiritual progress? I'm going to put that in the chat. I'll give you a chance to reflect on that. At the same time, there will be a poll, very simple poll question, which many of you may have seen before, just to see if you've joined on the Sanjeevani. So hopefully you will get the prompt on the screen. And if you can't answer, then you can always type in the chat. And if you want to be private note, that's also fine. So maybe another few seconds. Oh, share results. Sometimes co-hosts end the poll. So there it is on the screen. Don't worry if you didn't have time to answer. Co-hosts are not able to do it, by the way, for Spanish translator. Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. We've made a note of those that were not asked. Much appreciation.
So we're going into rooms, and if you need to move the room, you have the option to do that as well. If you need help, there's a button. So Heather will be inviting you shortly. We'll have 10-15 minutes. Try to give everyone a chance to share if they are able to. And we'll see you soon, and enjoy your discussion. Shanti, warm welcome back. Just like to invite to create a minute together of that experience of perfection beyond film, and then we'll be hearing from. These moments are like the reset button. So I'm going to warmly welcome Sanjay, who's connecting today from Israel, and it'd be lovely to hear if you'd like to share for a couple of minutes any thoughts on this topic so far. Except you can't unmute, so let's just give you that invitation. Welcome, good evening.
Om Shanti. Good evening, everybody. Very happy to be here with you. And yes, this idea of the film, so powerful, yet so extraordinary, as was said in the conversation. One needs to fully not only understand this concept, it's easy to understand because I guess everyone went at least once, if not more, to a film, a movie, and knows how it looks like and feels like. But to understand and fully believe that we are in a movie, we live in a movie, this is hard to swallow, isn't it? But it's not, for this one, it's not a nice idea that Baba is selling us, or just a method to take us from certain situation. It is the truth. We are in a movie. So for this one, whatever he was looking for the last 40 years, I guess everyone on the screen also was looking for the peace, the happiness, the lightness, joy. Just using this simple idea with full conviction that whatever is happening to this one, to everyone, is just a movie. As was said many times, people pay money to see horrible movies, and they get out smiling, laughing, enjoying. So for this one, it is the tool, the method, yes, to reach and stay as much as possible in this awareness and enjoy the peace and the lightness and the availability that brings out love and acceptance, because you really understand that you are not going to change anyone, anything, any scene, because it's fixed, it's feeling, repetition, repeat itself. So yeah, like that. Thank you, and Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sanjay. Actually, it raised, in a way, question in my mind. It feels that you're really speaking from your experience, and you mentioned, I think, conviction. So I guess it's like we're working with this model, and then the conviction comes from our own experiences. So yeah, it's very happy to hear how that's working, and we start with a model and then it becomes a reality. We see it as a reality. Thank you so much for sharing. So Prashant, we have little time, and a few questions have come up, but over to you if you want to create time for practice.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And thank you for sharing, Sanjay. So it was nice to have this broad understanding, if we can call it cosmology. But the big success for us is to come back to the psychology side, the invisible player right now and for the next hour. He is the one who is offered this grand performance. Only then we are winners. If the invisible player is conscious, as we saw, then you are into this different game altogether. You got this gift and a film and a story and a PlayStation. You literally feel that way, that every moment is a gift. But if you cross the line and feel that something bodily, that is you, that feeling is there, something in that film is mine, then we are in a different game altogether. That is what we call body consciousness. That also means less power. One question that was asked, how can we, why there are less people in the golden age? Because less power. And now is the time for us to really take this challenge where the soul is not deceived by this film. Is understanding the nature of this, what is happening. And in this film, there is glitter and gold, but it is film. And the invisible player knows he has got his world beyond. And that is far more important to him. World with God and world of God. So if we can maintain that awareness for the next hour, then we are winners. And the knowledge is nice and we want to understand it, but let us also understand the practical steps we can take and remain in that highest option. So happy to come to the questions. And even as we listen to questions and go through this, let there be this experiment all along, that there is an invisible player watching this film where Prashant is talking and all this is going on, that's filmed. And then you feel everything is okay and great. There is no feeling that, something should be different, something is present or past. You find every moment is a gift. Let these feelings come. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, nice. In no particular order, but maybe in the order of the questions that were written. Is there an estimated time frame from the senior instruments, the yogis, the daddies, for when the confluence age will end?
We asked Dadi Gulzar herself, and she said, even if she was to know, she cannot tell it unless Baba was to tell. So, there is no, from Dadi Gulzar, there was no signal. So if it is not there from Baba, there is no signal of the time, but enough for us to know that any moment can be the last moment. Then we are sensible. We are not deceived.
Certainly, at a personal level, that is the case. The body. You mentioned just then, what is meant by the last phase of the confluence age?
In a confluence age, we have mentioned in the past, there is a time of knowledge and God, knowledge, and upliftment through wisdom. But then the time comes, the Vinash forces come, pain comes, destruction comes, and people, it is time for everyone to go back home. So that is the second phase. And Baba is giving us a signal. Now we are at the last phase of this confluence age. Okay. It is good for us to see it that way. Then you are not deceived, as was said before.
Why is it a cycle, and why does it repeat?
Since the same film is played over again, that's why it is a cycle. We go through the same film. And with it, question, if the question is why it is not a separate film, this is the best of the possible worlds. So we are getting something really, really beautiful, very appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Why are there no physical remnants of paradise?
Sure. When you are watching a film, say you watch a film, James Bond film, what you saw in the first 5 minutes, you don't necessarily need to see them in the second 5 minutes. Second 5 minutes can be something completely different. That is why the Julian Barber, he was saying, based upon the present, you cannot then make project into the past. Ordinarily, in other model of science, you can project. But if this world exists as a film, then based upon the present, you cannot project into the past. And so you will not see things of the frames that you saw 5 minutes earlier. If you see them, they are coincidental. In the model of the film, they don't need to be like that. So it is, we see this, and it sort of deceives us to believe that it is not a film, as if it is very stable the way the film is going. You see the same things, you see reliable, some change of pattern. But deep inside, it is a film. And that's why now and then you see things which cannot be explained by the science model. And they call it, abnormal phenomena, or, some psychic phenomena, paranormal, say they use those words, but it sort of tells you that things don't happen by the laws that they make. They are coincidental. In this model of the film, it is coincidental. But the film can go anywhere. That's why from the Iron Age, next scene will be Golden Age. It is not a slow progression, Iron Age into Golden Age. No, Iron Age film ends, Golden Age film begins.
I can sense there may be more questions coming off the back of these, which is great. I'm going to ask a question. There are two participants asked almost exactly the same question in a private chat at the same minute. So I'll ask one of them, which should be for both. Could we say that all souls need to purify before entering the home? So can that not be in the final moment? And if so, why would they want to purify now instead of at the end? In other words, does it matter if souls come across this knowledge or not?
Sure. What happens is, just give you one example. One girl, she used to drink coffee before, and she says coffee is such a small thing, I don't want to change anything, I like coffee. But then she was getting headaches and forced her to change the brand of the coffee. She was not giving coffee, but she was getting different kind of coffee. Then there's no headache, but headache came back again. Then she has to stop drinking coffee. And one time she told me, now if I think of coffee, I get palpitations. And all this took her some years, 3-4 years before she stopped having any interest in coffee. But with 4 years of pain, gives you an idea, the bondages don't go in 1 second. Here we are talking about real pain, the headaches and all this is not a small thing. And palpitations, these are not small problems. For many years before she dropped just one bondage. When people create bondages on top of bondages and ego and attachments to human beings, and it can be very, very painful. It in my reason, it can't happen in 1 second. But Baba says sometimes very short time appears like a long time in pain. They suffer for a long time, and it appears as if it is a very long time of suffering, even though others think it is a short time. So we have the option to learn through wisdom and yoga. This is the option the Father gives to the souls of the world. We have to adopt that. Once we start the process, we realize it is not just understanding. It needs much more than just understanding. Also, we need to accumulate power. We have to become free from all these in a good time, so that there is power to take us through the golden age, silver age. We need to be sufficiently powerful to take 8 billion souls out of their bondages. So these are all options we have got.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit like the life review that we hear about with like near-death experiences, that it's like whole life. So in a way, it's timeless experience. So will there be a time where there will be no souls on the earth? So that's a quick question.
Will there be time? Baba says there will always be souls in the home. There will always be souls on the physical dimension.
So the follow-up question, so that is in the reading that total annihilation doesn't take place, and there's a continuity of life on this planet. So which type of souls remain on the earth and which ones fly home?
We will be explaining a little more about this tomorrow. We will be discussing advanced party and how to understand it in the context of the film. Tomorrow we will clarify it.
Yeah, that would be good. The next question is along the same line, so we can maybe bring that in tomorrow. So that's great. Do we need to believe it's a film? And what if someone finds that difficult to believe?
Belief is one thing. More important for us is to understand the invisible players are independent from the physical world. Whether I call it film or a story or a theater, drama, whatever that works for you. But the bottom line is we are the souls. Souls say, the invisible player says that he is not part of this, that box. That box is independent and he is independent. Otherwise, this mixture, our confusion, that is what is the cause of pain.
Oh, thank you. That keeps it grounded if you're in the process of this. Okay, the questions just come. It's spoken about wandering souls who take time to find bodies. How does this phenomena work in the cycle? Will it be covered tomorrow?
It is like not necessarily in the context of cycle. We know that there are souls, and we know the souls, take the body. It is a bit like there is a driver. The driver uses the car, but there may be a time when he's without a car for a while, and then he gets the car. So it is very understandable that there will be at some point disembodied souls, and then they take the body. In studies by Ian Stevenson, there are people who had a disembodied existence for a period of time. And when they are asked, they remember, they have taken birth now, and they remember that time before taking this rebirth. And they said they were in silence somewhere. And some remembered their existence in a physical level, but no one spoke about being like an evil spirit or creating problem to others. That did not come. They were more like invisible observers of what is going on. They remember. In one case, he remembers the details, who came to such and such a place, and those facts were verified. So then that phenomena exists. It's very rare, but the phenomena exists.
Yeah, thank you. One question I had earlier when you were sharing about the dream, there's also the phenomenon of lucid dreaming. When you are dreaming, but you know you're dreaming, and often there can be like amazing because you feel safe and you can, sometimes you can fly, you can decide to do things you wouldn't normally do. Is it like that in the first half of the cycle?
And I don't like to think it that way, but enough to know that they are not attached. They are not trapped in the story. They are aware of this extraordinary performance going on around them, but they have not crossed the line. They know of their position of fullness beyond. It is much more than dreaming. They are very much in the real world. What happens in ordinary dreaming, they don't know that they are dreaming. Lucid dreaming, at least they know they are dreaming. In this case, they don't have any level of no experience of anything inauspicious. Golden age. That's why whole thing is inner richness and outer richness.
Thank you. That's interesting. Maybe we have one more question here. So this model of the film, agreed, is unbeatable because everything is possible, which like a dream and like a movie. But is there space for logic in this model? The person is saying they feel the need for some logic, or what does that mean spiritually? I think some continuity, some kind of law, maybe.
Yeah, our law. And when we are dealing with a film has its own laws. That is the only difference. Other laws, if our basic premise is wrong, and then we create laws, then you will find there are exceptions to the laws. Because basic premise is wrong. If our basic premise is true, then the laws will be absolute laws. So there are different laws, not necessarily laws that we study in our present university colleges. But the laws of the film apply to this world, if it is true.
Like an absolute law, as if, but then you have different levels of things which are apparent.
Yes.
So we maybe close there. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share finally, maybe coming back to the essence.
Yeah, the essence is we stay in that awareness as a hobby. Let there be that invisible soul who is very, very lucky because he has got his world of God with him. World of God, world with God. That is the life of the invisible player. And then grand gift of this PlayStation, and it is a theater, it is also a film. Great holiday. Let us play with that perspective. But are we watching some transmission for a few minutes?
So next.
A few extra minutes.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. It's so nice to connect and hear and share. So we'll be sharing a transmission from Madhaban, Bapdada sharing from this stable space. And there's also Drishti, which is a spiritual vision of the soul. So do enjoy, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Shanti.